We got Nacho Alabamo on, legend of the game, coming in with the hammer. Oh yeah, I love the background that you're bringing to the table here. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, this is kind of my this part of the room is it's my fan cave. This is my older stuff. This is where I got my Bear Bryant stuff. I got a
Nice.
Bear Bryant back there, and you know, anyway, I love the old stuff, man. It had a lot of character.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the basketball team actually just came out with new uniforms with all the old logos and stuff on. Those look fantastic.
Yes, I love that. You can see it right back there,
Yep.
man. That has always been my favorite logo, and I'm glad they're bringing it back. I really am.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see if the football team can work it into a uniform here this next fall, especially with the new
Yeah.
coach, a little bit of new juju, maybe bringing a new uniform or two. That could be
Oh
pretty
man,
cool.
it's gonna be a tough sell. I'm on a lot of message boards and stuff, man. You start messing with that uni, man.
I
They
know.
lose it
Yeah.
because that is classic. I
Mhm.
mean, you can't go wrong with a winner, and that's just as iconic as any other brand. But I think I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna stay in the middle of the road. I like new stuff, but I love the old stuff. So
Yeah, no, I mean, we totally get that here. This guy's a Jets fan. They're going through it with the whole uniform problem. So,
oh yeah,
yeah, he
all
knows.
kinds of problems.
Oh,
Yeah, not just
yeah.
uniforms, a lot of other ones. But again, I do want to thank you for coming on. This is awesome. We've had a couple of super fans on, not a college one yet, so you are the first, which is great.
Okay.
I want to jump into like the background of your like super fandom. So I was reading about how you kind of became like the super fan of Alabama, and it started in Mexico on like a canceled excursion. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah, you've done your research. Yeah, that was my wife left me unsupervised for like 2 full hours in Costa Maya, and this is the result. She our excursion got canceled, and we had already been shopping and stuff. And it's funny, I was just looking at pictures yesterday with my wife. We were looking at, and I told her, I was like, "This is when I bought Nacho," and she's like, "No, it's not." I was like, "Yeah, it is." And the next picture was me. But yeah, I was left unsupervised. I had already found the poncho. This is not actually that poncho. These don't last but about a season. As you can imagine, in Alabama in September and October, man, it is, oh my God, it's miserable.
Mhm.
And walking around with this cotton, is basically walking around with a towel over your shoulders the whole time. Anyway, they only last about a season. But anyway, I found the poncho, and my wife, we didn't have anything to do. It's not a big port. So we were already headed back to the ship. And I was like, look, and she wouldn't let me buy the poncho when I found it. I was like, hey, this is, she's like, no, you're not buying that. So I was like, ugh. So anyway, I bugged her and I was like, look, let me go buy this poncho. I hadn't bought anything on this trip. Let me go buy the poncho. She said, fine, leave me alone. So I went back. I'm wearing an Alabama shirt, shorts, just screaming, sell me something,
Mhm.
and they all kinds of unlicensed Alabama stuff everywhere because it was 2000. It was right after we won a national championship, so I guess it was 2018. Anyway, so I'm walking around and there's just all kinds of stuff, and I went back and bought the poncho. And if you've ever been to Mexico, if you buy something here, a guy a mile down knows it. Words, especially unsupervised, guy, they words spread pretty fast, and so the guy was like, hey, what you need with that poncho? You need a mask. And I'm like, you talking about like a Nacho Libre mask? And he's like, oh yeah, come on, you got to get in, want to get me in there. So anyway, he got me in there, and he said, okay, I got two masks. He said, I got a cheap mask and I got a primo mask. I said, well, bring me the cheap mask. And the cheap mask was like pantyhose, and I was
Yeah.
like, no, that ain't just like close to my face, looked like I was a bank robber. I was like, no, that's not happening. So he put me this mask. And I was like, of course, at the time, it still had the sides. It looked like a regular luchador mask. It was just like a mouth. Anyway.
Mhm.
And I was like, I cannot buy that. My wife will murder me. And how much you give me for that mask? And so anyway, we went back and forth for like 20 minutes. And finally, I stayed at $20. I was like, $20. He's like, oh, $80. And I'm like, no. So finally, I'm like, look, man, I got to roll. And he said, okay. And he puts it in my bag. And he says, for you, $20. So I was like, bam. So for $50, I bought this whole ensemble.
That's
And
awesome.
got back on the boat and went into the bathroom and put it all on and came jumping out. My wife was laying on the bed reading and was less than thrilled by my purchases. So, but hey, we won that next year. I won tickets to the SEC championship because being a super fan. So I was like, I don't want to hear any more mess, you know?
So it was a blessing in disguise in a way.
There you go.
It just kind of happened, and like here you are now, which is awesome.
Oh yeah. I added the hammer. That was another, just the thing that happened. My daughters wanted to go to Comic-Con, and of course this was the off season, and in like July, and I said, if I'm going to Comic-Con, I'm getting dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Fat Thor, and with no shirt on, and I had this big beard and hair, and I looked just like Fat Thor, but I made Stormbreaker, the big hammer, and I was like, man, that's what Nacho needs, because I got nothing to do without the hammer, so I was just doing this and pictures and stuff. And with the hammer, man, you can find me anywhere in the stadium. It was definitely the best thing I ever did.
For sure. No, I mean, I'll tell you what, it's a nice outfit. We've had a couple of super fans on, and yours definitely is one of the top outfits that we've seen. But now let me ask you, so you really weren't a big college fan growing up. When did that kind of surface? Because I know that your wife got you into college football,
yeah.
More so Alabama, and now your son goes there as well, right?
Yeah, my son's about to graduate. He's got to go back when everything went. Anyway, he kind of went off the rails a little bit, but he's going back this fall to finish it up.
Okay.
My daughter is a sophomore there, so I have two that are going there, and I have one more that I'm trying to talk into going to Alabama. She is adamant that she's not going to Alabama and keeps throwing around Tennessee. And
I can't have
no.
that. No.
Like, hey, you can go to Vandy. You can go to Vandy all you want, man, but you ain't going to that orange school.
Oh, no.
So, but anyway, who knows? Maybe I can work some magic and get her in Alabama. That would be awesome to go 3 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wasn't a big Alabama. I wasn't a college football fan at all. Grew up in the Bay Area, and I actually was a huge 49ers fan. And I mean, for years, even when they stunk, when they only won like 2 games and got the number 1 pick or 3 games. Anyway, I was a huge 49ers fan and had all kinds of stuff. And of course, I never dressed up or anything like that. But anyway, so I mean, I lived in the Bay Area, so we would go to games, and it was fantastic. But I moved out here, and everybody was like, "Who's your team?" And I was like, "The 49ers." Like, no, college. And in California, in Northern California especially, college, it's just nobody talked about it. It was because we had professional teams, and I was like, well, college. I was like, isn't that what they go do before they go play real football? And that, of course, wasn't the most popular popular call. But when I went to my first game, my son got a National Merit Full Ride Scholarship, and we went and toured different campuses. And somebody gave us tickets to go to a Cupcake Alabama game. I don't know, it was Baylor or somebody. It was just, one of those. It was just a slaughter from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But when I walked in Bryant-Denny, I was blown away. I was instantly. I mean, you talking about love at first sight. That was it, man. I fell in love immediately. The spirit, the chants and everything, the singing, and it was magical to me. And I can't describe it in any other way. And that was a year before I started doing all this. And, but yeah, man, I wasn't a college football fan, and certainly not an Alabama fan. My wife graduated from Alabama, and she always tried to get me to follow Alabama. And I was like, man, they're always good. I'm not going to follow them because, like I said, I was a 49ers fan. So I was like, I'm not a fair weather fan. I'm not going to just go for Alabama because you want me to. But when my son decided to go there, then I was like, all right, now I got enough skin in the game. My wife graduated, my son's going there. I can be an Alabama fan. And I sort of took that and ran with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I'm kind of in a similar boat where my girlfriend, she just graduated from Alabama, and the moment that we met, she's like, you're not allowed to like Miami, because I was a big Miami fan. She's like, you can't like Miami anymore. You have to like Alabama. And I was like, all right, we'll see. And then slowly, got into it. My cousin ended up going there. I was like, you know what? I could cheer for Bama. I could make this happen. Then they kept winning. I was like, this is actually way better than being a Miami fan.
It's funny too because like how you said like you growing up in the Bay Area, like I was born in New York, and even my dad, he was like, there was no like enjoying college sports. It was not like that. It was Jets, Giants, Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Islanders, Knicks, Nets. Like it was no college whatsoever. And when we moved up to Pennsylvania, that's where it was like, oh, like who's your college team? Like, oh, I don't watch college at all. So I still don't really have a team until Bama now because his girlfriend, and just they're good, and I need a good team in my life. So I'm like, I might as well like Bama. So it's funny how that works.
Yep.
I have a question about your outfit. How heavy is the hammer?
It's actually pretty heavy. I mean, it's made out of yoga mat foam, and it's got spray foam on the inside. There's no metal in it, for obvious reasons, because I always have trouble. Well, most stadiums, they won't let me bring it in anyway. I had an inflatable hammer that I take to most away games.
Okay.
Only a few stadiums, Mississippi State, of course, everybody's walking around with cowbells, so nobody cares about that. And the Saints, we went to the Saints Stadium, Mercedes Dome, or whatever it was, in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, and I brought both hammers, and they told me, they were like, "Yeah, you should be able to bring it in." I walked right in there. Nobody said boo.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. But Auburn always, since won't let me do it, and I tried it at Auburn. Yeah. And they won't let me take it in at Atlanta. So anyway, I got this big goofy blow up hammer that I take to those, and the Rose Bowl, of course. I didn't even try to take this thing because it's so big.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty heavy. I mean, after carrying it around the entire day, like on a big game like last year, Texas, we had 2 or 3 really big games in Tuscaloosa, and they're night games, and the quad gets cranked up at 10:30, 10 o'clock, and I'm basically running from about 6 a.m. all the way through till midnight. I mean, I am running wide open. I mean, when I get done, man, I am just toast. Uh-oh, what in the world was that?
Our producer is he's moving cords around. No, you're good.
He's
good.
moving around some cords.
I was like, oh, my end. But yeah, man, it is. I mean, and my shoulder. I mean, because I do the same pose. I don't know if you've seen, but I do the same pose thousands of times on a big game. I mean, I kid you not. I bet I take 2,000 pictures, man. Mm-hmm. It's nuts. I mean, and it's crazy because when this started, nobody took pictures because they didn't know who I was. I'm just a goofball walking around in a thing. And then when people started, it always would be in a flood. It's like somebody would come take a picture with me, and like, oh, I got to get a picture with him. And then all of a sudden, you've got 4 or 5 people waiting to take a picture, and that was how it started. Now they know me from social media, because I do the TikToks and I do all that stuff. And then I get on TV every once in a while. So a lot of people know who I am. And now, everybody just yells Nacho and comes over. And I mean, it's crazy, man. It is absolutely insane how this is blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's, we said that we had a couple of the NFL super fans on. And they say the same things. Like at the beginning, it was just you kind of went big fan, and then slowly over the seasons, like people just know who they are, and like it's incredible. It's awesome that so many fans are in it with you.
Oh yeah. This past weekend or weekend before, there was a basketball game. I try to go to Tuscaloosa when I can hit the maximum, because I'm 3 hours away. So I'm going to go to baseball, softball, gymnastics, basketball. I'm going to hit the max. And so anyway, I was in town that last weekend, and I had a buddy of mine that his son plays in a band, and they were playing in a bar downtown Tuscaloosa, right off the strip. And I had told him I would be there at about 10:30, and they put it out. They put it on a little video or whatever. I still don't know if people were coming because I was coming, but they definitely knew I was coming. It was insane. I mean, when I got there, people were hanging out those were like bars next to, the gate to let everybody in and out.
Yep.
People were hanging out, and I'm fist bumping and giving high fives and stuff. And when I got in there, I tell you, it took me 20-25 minutes just to get through the crowd back to where the band was. It was nonstop, man. I have never seen anything like it. But yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts, man. I love it though.
So have you been to all the SEC stadiums, or at least the ones that Bama has played against?
Not all of them. Let's see. I live in Mississippi, so of course I've been to Ole Miss and Mississippi State. I've been to and I've been to Auburn. I don't think I've been to another SEC stadium. Mainly, ones I would love to go to, of course, would be LSU, down in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
But I'm not rolling down there unless I got a crew, unless I've got a lot of fans that are LSU fans, and a lot of friends that are LSU fans, and they were like, "Oh man, you'll be fine. You just stay with us." That's the way I'd have to go. I'd have to have 5 or 6 big dudes, the fans that got my back, because I've heard some stories, man. And whether things are going good or going bad, it's still, I am the pinpoint of, I just stand out too much,
Yeah.
But,
I don't know what you're talking about. Really? No,
Yeah.
I get that. I could see it. I mean, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so if I went to Philly for a tailgate and I wear any Cowboys gear, last year I actually wore Villanova gear, and people were yelling at me like I was a Cowboys fan. I'm like, I'm one of you. I'm one of you today, and they're still coming at me. So I understand. I understand what you're saying there. You need your tight knit crew to protect you.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta have a crew to roll with.
Now, growing up, did you also go to a lot of like Niners games as well? You said before you kind of went to a bunch. What would you kind of differentiate when it comes to SEC football fandom and then the NFL? Is it even comparable in your eyes? No.
I mean, I went to a buddy of mine his dad had season tickets for like 5 years, and so I got to go to a lot of 49ers games, and I was at some great games. And yeah, the crowd gets into it, but it's nothing like college football in the South. It's just, it doesn't even compare. The spirit, it's just wild. I mean, of course, it doesn't hurt that you've got a whole student section, full of 18 to 20, 24-year-olds is going nuts. And then of course all the fans are so passionate. You'll have, with NFL, you'll have passionate fans, but it's just, it's something, I don't know, man. It does not compare.
It's just a different ball game. I feel like, especially like we talked about this before, like just like the craziest fans like in the world. Like I would say soccer fans, but like SEC football is definitely a whole different story. And you even said like your first game that you attended live, it was just something you could never imagine. That kind of happened to me too when I went. I've only been to one like Division I college game, and that was at Penn State, and it was something that I've never seen before. Besides like maybe like a playoff game, but like the student section, the all white, everyone waving their towels and everything, chanting, singing, like it's just a whole different atmosphere. And I can only imagine how the SEC games are.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Y'all need to get down here, man. Y'all need to come down here and roll with Nacho.
Yeah.
I'll show you the quad, man. I'll put you up, man. I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's definitely an awesome experience. You need to do it, man.
Yeah,
we were talking. We might try and come down for a game this fall. So
awesome.
now we'll definitely, if we make that happen, we'll definitely have to meet up with you.
Definitely.
I
can come hang out, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have a question here. So, there's been a big name guy, especially affiliated with Alabama. You probably know who I'm talking about.
Roll Tide Willie.
Roll Tide Willie. Like,
hold up. Look.
He's got it. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. That is phenomenal.
I had a big ask about Willie. Yeah.
Have you seen him like at all during the games? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen him. Well, he doesn't come to many games. I've met him. Let's see. I met him at the Auburn game this year, and I met him at the Texas game. I've met him about 4 or 5 times. Most of the time I meet him was on the quad. At Auburn, I actually met him outside of Jordan Hare. But yeah, I mean, I go on. He knows we know each other, but not like really.
Yeah,
But
for sure. I didn't even know that he was kind of like a big thing before. There was a video with one of these famous content creators. His name's Drewski. That's where I saw Roll Tide Willie. Pretty much everybody. Apparently, he was doing this beforehand, but once that video surfaced, like it blew up, and like everyone started to know Roll Tide Willie. It's like it's so funny, man. Like just how like stuff like that can happen. Like you one video and then bam, like everyone knows him.
Yeah, well, he was big. Yeah, he was real big. I mean, like he hadn't been doing it as long as I have, but I think he was. I don't know. It was about what 4 years ago was the first time I saw him, and I had just seen his videos, But yeah, it only takes one thing, and then all of a sudden you're in the stratosphere
for sure.
And that's what's awesome about this social media thing. And I'm building my social media platform, but it's slow going because I am pinpoint. Just Alabama. There are fans that love Roll Tide Willie that are adamant Georgia fans. And I mean, it's hard not to love Roll Tide Willie, love Willie just because he's such a character, and that's, it's not like a character that he's playing. That is the dude.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's great. I got something?
No, yeah, actually it would be a good leadway into it because, I wanted to get your thoughts on where you think college football is at the moment. Because with the new coach coming in, you saw a lot of guys transferring. There's so much NIL value out there now, where guys are 6-figure guys that are leaving. And like, how do you see college football moving up from here?
Honestly, and when Coach Saban left, the first thing I said was, we're going to look back. College football is going to look back at this moment as an important turning point because I think that Coach Saban is the one person that can turn this boat around. I mean, I'm not saying all by himself, but what I'm saying is when he speaks, people listen, even if they can't stand him. When he says something, people listen. And he has experienced this NIL. I mean, I'm all for the players getting paid. But you hear these stories and, it's basically a shakedown. You get these kids coming in from high school and they come in and they go, yeah, the place is nice. Texas A&M's offering me 1.4. What can you give me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a shakedown. And, if you say, well, sorry, I can't meet your number. Well, I'm gone. And, it just makes the whole system, it ugly, makes it ugly. And what needs to happen is there's got to be some salary caps. I mean, it's the wild, wild west out there. It's worse than NFL.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever, whoever's got the most money is going to pull the players. And it can't continue that way. And, and the whole thing, there's a lot of broken pieces. The whole thing when Coach Saban left, I mean, we had this mass exodus of really good talent. And I understand a lot of it. I mean, they came to play for Coach Saban. But it's still, you hear the stories about, Indiana, been reaching out to me when I had a bad game and told them, give me, hey, you're not supposed to be reaching out and in contacting these players. You can't reach out and say, hey, you leave Alabama at the end of the year. We got you you this and make X amount. We've already got you a deal set up with this, car wash or whatever. The NIL is, I think it's broken. I think it can work. I think it's going to take somebody like Coach Saban that has dealt with it, has succeeded in it. And I guarantee you, he knows how this has got to go, how this needs to go, where the players are treated fairly, but yet there is some kind of control over the spending. And, it just can't continue like it is. We're going to lose this amazing thing that we have, Yeah,
it's going to, the way it's going right now, it's going to lead to, there's college football and then there's whatever you want to call it up here, where all the teams are able to pay their players millions of dollars. And that's not what college sports are supposed to be. It's supposed to be about that college experience. They're with their team for 3-4 years. Maybe you have a transfer in there. You go for 2 years, whatever. But it's supposed to be about that experience. And I think now you see a lot more, a guy's in his senior year, but he's played at 5 schools. You see it a lot in basketball these days. And that's not what it's supposed to be about. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's 3 Washington kids that are coming to Bama with the board, and that's perfectly fine. I get that. They wanted to play for him, they followed him. But Alabama, and I could say us now, we lost 6 guys to big time schools, 3 to Ohio State, and then you had Ole Miss, Florida, and Tennessee. And it's I get it. You wanted to play for Saban, but at least give the new coach a chance in the spring. You went to rivalry schools, big time schools. It just doesn't make much sense to me.
Oh yeah, I mean the Isaiah Bond thing, that one really bothered me. Him just up, and then he's posting a video of him driving a Lamborghini, and it's just wow, come on, man, this is just tacky. He knew, the money was waiting on him.
Yes.
And he saw an opportunity. I guarantee you, when he came to Alabama, he wasn't. I mean, I'm sure he was a 4 or 5 star, but he had established himself as a wide receiver, and he had, as a really good wide receiver. And now, that's what he sold himself as. And it shouldn't be that way. If you want to transfer, I can understand wanting to transfer out. I'm never going to play, if I'm a second string, and I'm never going to see the field at Alabama. I'm just not good enough to compete with these guys, but I can transfer to, X, and I might be able to start this year. I completely understand that, but going where the money's at, man, that's not the way college football is supposed to go.
No, it's about that college experience.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you. So you've been a Bama fan for a little bit now, and obviously as one of the top schools in the nation for years and years, you've seen so many good talents flood through Alabama and their organization. Any maybe 3 players top of mind, that best players you've seen go through Alabama?
Jalen Hurts, of course. I mean, he was so, he was just such an awesome player, and the way that he, the sacrifice that he made so Tua could come in. And I mean, it's just amazing that he was able, to step aside. And the man I don't think he lost 2 or 3 games. His whole college career was 24-2 or something. And yet he's going to step aside and let Tua come in because he knew that was what was best for the team. And then in the SEC championship, he was able to step in when Tua got hurt. I was there at that game. It was definitely my favorite game, one of my top 5, no doubt. It was just such a magical thing. But Jalen is such a good guy, and he was an excellent player. Let's see who else. I always like Najee. Man, Najee Harris was just, it was so much fun to watch Najee play. And, I went to one game I'll never forget. I was at the Ole Miss game, and in Oxford. This was in 2020 when they won everything. And they could not throw the ball, man. They could not make a completion. And they basically turned to Najee and was like, look, you're the only thing that's moving the ball. And he rushed for 5 touchdowns and 300 something yards. It was absolutely putting the whole team on Najee's back. Mm-hmm. And he won that game. And I saw him right after the game. I was waiting for him when the players were going to the bus, and he comes out and he's got both legs wrapped up, one of them all with ice, and the other one had a sling thing on it. And he's walking with crutches. And of course I see him oh, I'm fine. I'm just banged up, man. I mean, of course he carried the whole damn team for 4 quarters. He's going to be banged up. Mm-hmm. And, let's see who else. I got to meet Bryce Young. I got to meet him at SEC Media Day, and I didn't get to, he wasn't, I don't know. I really like Bryce. But Bryce was super cool. It was a kind of cool little story with that. I was at SEC Media Day, and he came in, and Coach Saban came in first, and then anyway, Bryce came down, and he was taking pictures and signing autographs. And when he got down to me, I wanted to get a picture with him, and he ended up, one of his handlers came up and they're like, hey, we got to go get, on the podium or whatever. They always have handlers, so they don't have to be the bad. Well, Bryce looks to me and he goes, hey, I'll be back. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, he's not coming back. There's no way. 2 hours later, after he'd gone through Radio Row and everything, Bryce came downstairs, came straight to me. We took the picture. And he told me, he said, I told you I wouldn't forget about you. How cool is that?
That's
awesome.
That's electric.
Yeah.
That's electric.
Yeah, really.
Big time. I hope he succeeds in the NFL too, because obviously his rookie year he had a little rough go, but I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think he's going to turn it around big time.
Yeah, I was really hoping that where he would go, he wouldn't start the first year. He'd have some time to kind of fold in.
Yeah.
And then there, I was like, oh boy, here we go. And it doesn't. If you don't give a quarterback, I don't care if you got Aaron Rodgers back there, Tom Brady. You look at all those teams like Tom Brady played on. They had an offensive line that he didn't have to worry about getting sacked.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't give, I don't care how good the quarterback is, if you don't give him 3 milliseconds in the pocket before he's running for his life, he's not going to be a good quarterback. And I think that's what Bryce is going through right now. And I'm hoping they'll get him some help in the draft this year.
Yeah.
They need it.
Big time.
They need to.
They just need a lot of help.
You have any more questions?
No.
All right, so my last question here. We want to hear your prediction for Alabama this fall.
Like record?
Record, what you think they're capable of achieving this fall, how far you think they go, especially with the new playoff rules.
Yeah, I think we make the playoffs. I think we definitely make the playoffs. I think that a lot of people are going to be ticked off with how many SEC teams are in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole reason for expanding it. And if they're playing fair, it's going to be anyway. I have a feeling that I feel that Alabama's going to make the playoffs this year. I think, of course, I'm not bold enough to say we're going undefeated, but I say, I think a 1 or 2 losses is possible. I think with that, with the teams that they're playing, I think they can definitely still make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, DeBoer's 104-12. I'm seeing in his head coaching career. He was 25-3 in Washington. I mean, the guy wins everywhere he goes, no matter who he's got on the field, and I think that's going to continue in Alabama. But yeah, going back on what you said about how many SEC teams might be in, you guys added Texas and Oklahoma this year. Those are 2 teams that were pushing for spots in the playoff this year. I mean, Oklahoma, not so much. It kind of fell off at the end, but Texas, I mean, they were in the playoff. So I think people are going to be upset with how many teams get in. Ole Miss is coming back. They were good last year. They got some good recruits coming in. So it's only going to get better in the SEC.
Exactly. Lane's got a well-oiled machine over there. He's got they're going to do something this year. I'm kind of glad we're not playing them this year. It's so weird not playing Ole Miss and Mississippi State. This is the first time forever. And and that's always a game that I can go to, because it's close. Not, I don't have to travel to Tuscaloosa for. But anyway, that's the way it is with the new look of the SEC. So
it'll definitely be interesting.
I guess this will be my last question. So with the college football playoff format, are you happy that they're now adjusting to this 8-team format? I believe it's 8-team, right?
Yeah, I think 8.
Are you happy about that? You think?
No, I am. I thought it was 12. 12 or is it 8?
It might be 12.
It might be 12.
With the 4 buys. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it is 12. You're right.
Yeah. That's one thing I am kind of excited about that because, man, I can only imagine a playoff game in Tuscaloosa. Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. They would burn the city to the ground. It would be so epic.
Yeah.
I only imagine an extra game in Tuscaloosa. Wow. But I like the new layout, and I think it's time. I was against it forever, but this season with so many teams deserving to be in the playoff, it definitely feels that it's definitely time to expand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good thing
for sure. But that's it for you, Kyle.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming on.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was awesome. I'm glad we had you on, get to know you a little bit more, and I'm glad that we are now Bama fans with you. So, but I enjoyed it. again, I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Back for another podcast, hopefully.
We're at a game.
Absolutely.
We're at a game.
Yeah, that would be so cool, man. Y'all got to hit me up. Y'all get in town, man.
For sure.
Sounds good. No, we'll definitely do that.
Nacho, Alabama, baby.
Let's go.
All right,
Thank
here we go.
you.
Hold on.
Let's go.
Roll
Awesome.
Tide, roll!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Come on. Come on.
Well, thanks
Love
again,
that.
man. We appreciate it. Hell yeah.
All right, you take it easy, man.
All right.
You too.
All right, bye.
See ya.